QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Set up test file to practice custom forms. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Here we are on the desktop. We have our QuickBooks program. We're going to be opening up the QuickBooks program, and we're going to set up a new company file in which we will test custom sales receipts and invoices and other types of custom template forms. Note that you do not need to set up a new company file or a different company file to test templates. However, if you do a lot of testing in templates, and especially if you want to practice or think about downloading custom templates and then adjusting them, if you do not set up a new company file, you could end up with a long list of templates as you start to experiment with them. So if you want to experiment with them, I suggest setting up a new company file and then downloading the templates that you would like to experiment with. And then once you narrow down your options, then take that template and put it into your company file, either by simply going to the template and downloading it in your company file, or by exporting it, downloading it from the practice file that we set up, and then seeing if we can import it back into your company file. If you have adjusted the templates in the past, or it's been a long time since you looked at the templates, then it might also be good to open up a new company file just to see what the standard default templates look like, and then make the changes from that point in time. So remember that if you're working in a company file, you want to make sure you can locate that company file. This is the actual program. Make sure you can locate your company file, and then when we make another company file, we'll put that one right here, which will help us to practice finding and locating the company file. When you create a new company file, sometimes QuickBooks will put it on your C drive. It'll be a little bit difficult to find. We'll go through as we do this process how you can basically locate that company file. When we create a new company file, then we'll store it here. Remember that most people open the company files by basically opening up QuickBooks. It will then open to the prior company file they were in. If that's your only company file, then you're always working in that company file. But remember, the company file is separate from the actual program here, as we'll see when we make a new one. So I'm going to open up the QuickBooks program. It's opening up to the last company file I had open. I want to close this so we can start a new company file. You don't even need to close it to start a new company file, but I think it's nice to do that. So I go to the File tab. I'm going to close the company file, and I'm going to say yes. Actually, it wants a backup. I don't want to back it up, so I'm going to not back it up. And that should take us to basically the screen that will be typical if you don't have a file open when you first start the program. Then you could hover over, so if the last file you were in is the one that you use often, you can hover over it and it gives you that mapping as to where that file is located. So if you don't know where it is and it's your main company file, take a screenshot of this mapping and then find it located on your desktop, so at least you know where it is. It should still be here in the recently opened files, but you don't really want to depend on the recently opened files. Like if the program went down and you had to restart or update the program, you want to be able to locate your primary company file. So now we're going to be testing the templates. Now, when you test the templates, you could use the sample files here. These are provided by QuickBooks, and they will have some of the information already in there for a mock company, which could make it easier to make the templates with. But it's already going to have some formatting in these company files as well. So I would like to start a company file from scratch, put in some basic information in it so that we can look at the templates basically from a fresh company file. So to do that, you can make a new company file either here, or we can go to the file dropdown, which I prefer to do because that dropdown will be there even if another company file is open. And I'm going to say new company. This will set up a new company, and I'm going to say that I want to make it for somebody else so that I can put in different credentials into it. So then I want to put the credentials into it here. So I'm going to say business name. This is a test template file, and the industry, I'm going to choose the industry, and we could pick whatever industry would be applicable to you, and it could have some impact on the forms that would be generated too. So I'm going to pick a product-based business here, so you can pick the business that would be related to whatever business you are in. Could have an impact on the format of the invoices. For example, if you have, well, I won't go into, but in any case, pick the industry that relates, and then the business type, we're going to pick the type that relates, sole proprietorship, partnership, so on and so forth. I'm going to say sole proprietorship, and then we'll put in the email address. I'll actually do that last. And then we might need the employer identification number. This might be useful for Some forms, but not typically on like an invoice or sales receipt, and it's not a required field. Notice these items down below don't have the red asterisk, therefore not required, but we want to populate them because I want, for example, the address and whatnot on some of the forms, such as the invoice and the sales receipt. So I'm going to put the test template name. It's going to be the general product-based business, sole proprietorship. I'll enter the email in a second before I finalize this. The number for the EIN is, I'm just going to put 12-345-678. That, of course, is the number that the IRS sees you as, kind of like the social security number for the business. And then we have the phone number. I might want that populated on some forms like invoices and sales receipts, so I want that there. Address, 1006 North Beverly Drive, Beverly Hills, 90210. This is a home for sale in Beverly Hills for like $9 million if you're interested. And so that's just obviously a mock address here, and that's going to be it. So I'm going to save this and go forward. So there it is. It says we're all set. So I'm going to close this back up. I'm going to close this back up and say great. And notice it didn't really tell me where it put the file. It's going to put it typically to the same location it put like the last file I used. So I'm going to then go, I'm going to close the company file. I'm going to go to the File tab, close the company file. And this is the way I typically go in to see where they put it. I go in here and say hover over it. Where did they put it? They put it on the desktop, account numbers file, data files, test. All right, I'm going to go locate that file. And then I'm going to put it like right there so I know where it's at. Okay, so I have done that now. So I'm back on the desktop. I've got my file here. I went and found my test template file. I cut it and moved it over here. And whenever you do that, this is the core file, the QBW file, but it often comes along with this other kind of stuff. So you want to put it in a folder, and this other stuff will be basically pasted with it. But we'll be opening up the QBW file here. So remember, when you move it, you have this. If you have this window open, you have no company file open at this time. It's just you're hovering over to see where it's located. If you have the company file open, like if you have a Word document open, you won't be able to move the document. You won't be able to move the QuickBooks file. If you're in this screen, you should be able to move the file because you do not have any company file open, although you have QuickBooks open. So you can then move that file over to wherever you need it to be. So you know where it is. So now we've got the QuickBooks program here, and we have our QBW file that we'll be using to test out the account numbers. Now also note, if you have the company closed at this point, I could now open the company file either through the QuickBooks, or I can double click on the QBW file, the data file, in a similar way as you can click on like a Word document, and it will open up QuickBooks and then the data file in a similar way that clicking on a Word document would open up the Microsoft Word program and then the document within it. So it wants a password. I'm just going to say test 1 2 3 4, test 1 2 3 4, and then I'll keep that the username I'll keep as the admin. So I'm going to say OK for my test file, and there we have it. So we have a nice clean test file. We can look at the templates. So next time we're going to go into the lists drop down, and we're going to take a look at the templates lists. And these are where the kind of stock template lists are located, and that's where we'll go for customization of them.